Y'all excuse me, I'm not used to speaking in front of this many Yankees. But anyway, I moved out here in the late 80s to become the county engineer and public works director for the road department in El Paso County. And they hired me out of Mississippi because they knew I would know how to get the snow off of the roads out here. So anyway, I moved out here in the late 80s, and then around the early 90s, my brother started the Black Rose Music Society in Mississippi. And I was back there for a short period of time. And it went over well out here. So I come out here from that. By the way, when I moved out here, the first jam session I went to was at Sue Coulter's house. Where's Sue? I went to Sue Coulter's house. I heard about a jam session. And that's where I met Charlie Hall. And I listened to him a little bit, and I said, if that boy would practice a little bit, he might go somewhere. So anyway, so I come back in 94, and Hope and Charlie and I met at the Village Inn on Academy Boulevard and talked about the venue, talked about just about the way it is now. And it has continued for 30 years like that, and I'm so proud of it. But, Bill had the original idea. I brought his idea out here to Colorado, and we started it in this thing. But I want to say one thing. The driving force that kept this thing going is Charlie Hall. I moved. I love me some Charlie Hall. I love Charlie Hall. But I moved back there after 3 or 4 years. But Charlie and the volunteers, over the years, I don't know, hundreds of volunteers have kept this thing going. And I'm so proud to have kept it going. And I hope it goes another 30 years. And I hope I'll be 80 in 2 weeks. I may not make 30 more, but I'll try to do 10. I'll try to do the 40th anniversary. But anyway, with that, I'm going to let Bill make a few remarks about how he started it down in Mississippi.
First off, they told me to not say much and to talk fast. Y'all just listen slower. Murry and I have been brothers a long time. I don't know. It goes back that far to some degree, but I'm going to mention just a few things. Started in 92. My first notice of anything Black Rose was a thing called the Black Rose Theater, and that was in Brandon. And that was started by 2 guys, Denver Wilson being one of them, and the other, who is responsible for the name, is a lawyer that I never met. But Denver and this guy Denver was kind of the de facto Chamber of Commerce of Brandon, Mississippi, and the 2 of them, drinking coffee probably all the time, thought that Brandon needed something to kind of bring the community together. They bought an old building, probably half this size, was an old picture show. And seat risers, stage down front, screen in the back. They bought that. Denver was a haggler. He probably got it for nothing. Anyway, they, with some other people, put together the Black Rose Black Rose Theater. I went to the Black Rose Theater once, or several times, but the first time I went was to see my daughter in a play, and my wife was sitting beside me. And Denver, who I had never met at that time, was sitting right behind me. And I whispered to my wife something about a show in a miserable little town of Amory, Mississippi. And I hope this don't get to any of them, because I spent 2 miserable years there, but the best thing about it was Thursday nights when they had something called the Vinegar Bin Society. Vinegar Bin is a long other story. It has to do with the guy selling whiskey, but everybody thought he was selling vinegar. But anyway, they had this shotgun storefront, had a stage on one end and church pews in the back end, and everybody that came in the door paid $1, whether you sit and listened or picked and sang. It was great on Thursday nights. The other nights, miserable. But anyway, that is one of the basis for what I thought I was putting together. The other place I'll mention is Mountain View, Arkansas, which is nothing more, and I ain't been there in 10 or 15 years now, but at the time it was nothing more than a courthouse square. But every 4 entrances to the courthouse, all 4 corners of the square, you could find some of the best music you ever heard, similar to what you're going to hear tonight right after we finish. Anyway, back to that theater. Denver heard me mention to Gwen how much better acoustic that place was than the Vinegar Bend Society, and so he whispered in my ear to meet him outside at intermission. I didn't know about what. Anyway, he told me, he says, I'm the Chamber of Commerce in Brandon. We put this thing together, but it's only used 10 times a year. They put on 10 plays a year, ran it 2 weekends a year, so that's only 10 days out of a year. Now, they practice other times, but it wasn't in use hardly any. So he heard me talking about that, and he said, let's put something together. Social media didn't exist back then. That was 92. Phone calls, word of mouth, and a classified ad that we ran for a couple of weeks. We set a date, just asking people, if you're interested in bluegrass country and gospel music, we're going to have a meeting. Had the meeting, had about 40 some odd people show up, met for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then broke out into Brandon Town Square and had a picking. Anyway, that is where it proceeded from. It lasted 3 or 4 years until, I don't know what happened, but the last thing that I remember, they started wanting $800 a month for us to play twice a month. And that was a little more than we could handle. Anyway, I made some notes. Denver Wilson, I'm going to mention his name again simply because if he had not whispered over my shoulder, let's put something together, that would not have existed. Murry came home just about the time it kicked off. Matter of fact, talking about kicking off, one of the songs we're going to do tonight is Night Rider's Lament. That was the first song done at the Black Rose Music Society, which was Brandon. And if Murray wasn't lying to me, it was the first song done out here at the Black Rose Acoustic Society.
And it'll be the first one done tonight.
And the first one we're going to do tonight. And I think I've said all I had to say about anything, and I appreciate y'all listening slower.
And I changed it it was Black Rose music there, and I changed it to Black Rose Acoustic here, because I can't stand an electric guitar.
Night Rider's Lament.
Night Rider's Lament. While I was out riding the graveyard shift midnight till dawn, oh, the moon was as bright as a reading light for a letter from my old friend back home. He asked me, why do you ride for the money? Tell me, why do you row for short pay? You ain't getting nowhere and you're losing your share. Oh, you must have gone crazy out there. Last night I ran home to Jenny. She's married and has a good life. Sure miss a track when you never came back. She's a perfect professional's wife. She asked me, why do you ride for the money? Tell why do you row for short pay? You ain't getting nowhere and you're losing your share. Oh, you must have gone crazy out there. She had, no,
Well, I read up the last of my letter, tore off the stamp for Black Jim. Billy rode up to relieve me. He just looked at my letter and grinned. He asked me, why do you write for the money? Why do you rope for short pay? You ain't getting nowhere and you're losing your share. Oh, you must have gone crazy out there. Oh, but they've never seen those northern lights, never seen a hawk on the wing, never seen the spring hit the great divide. Oh, they never heard old Camp Cookie sing.
Thank you.